Hi, my name is Mwaka Mugala, and I'm a media personality best known for my role in Zuba on Zambezi Magic.
How did you get your start in the entertainment industry?
Well, I would say I've been in the entertainment industry since I was a little girl, indirectly because of my dad. So I would do a lot of adverts, and even times like, for example, with International Children's Day of Broadcasting, I participated in that, narrating documentaries, reading news and so on and so forth. So I've pretty much been in it since I was young. And that was my start into it, really. It's not like I just woke up and said, okay, I'm going to do this. It just, I guess, found me. Yeah.
So you star in Zuba, which has consistently been one of the most watched shows on Zambezi Magic. Why do you think the show has captivated audiences?
Um, I think the show has captivated audiences because of the storyline. And I think we've been able to push barriers, try to do a lot of things that were not really done before, in terms of film or television. Dare I say, we crossed a lot of lines. So I think people were curious about that. And we've managed to just keep a hold of the audiences because we always just, I guess, do things unexpectedly. And yeah, I think really it's just the storyline. And I would like to believe they've come to love the characters on the show as well.
In what ways are you similar to the character of Zuba, and what ways are you different from her?
Wow. I've been playing Zuba for such a long time that it seems we're one and the same person now. Especially now that she's becoming a bit more tenacious, her naivety has gone away. Before, my answer to that question would be, she's a bit more naive, she's a bit more reserved. She keeps to herself. Obviously, doesn't like the heavy makeup and the bling bling. And those were some of the differences. But now, because she's a bit more aggressive, I think we've grown into each other. Still, she is a bit more subtle in the way she carries herself and her dressing. Whereas for me, I think I'm a bit more out there. I like to be a bit more outgoing, a bit more fun, and a bit more adventurous. He's just like, nah, I'm not doing that. But for me, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
What are some of your career highlights?
Wow, some of my career highlights. There have been quite a few. I honestly can't think of any at the top of my head, but I've had opportunities to work on international sets before, out of the country, of course, and yeah, that was something huge for me, especially in the beginning. I also got to meet the presidents, both presidents, I guess, and for a lot of people, that would be huge. I've had opportunities to meet a lot of great people actually and work with them. So for me, that's something I never would have seen coming. And yeah, I think for me, that's what I can think of at the moment.
You've described yourself as an introvert. How do you handle having a very public job while being an introvert who loves her alone time?
Wow. Honestly, I don't even know how I ended up in such an extroverted career, being an introvert. But I do have ways in which I manage that, especially my morning and evening routines, especially because I do have crazy social anxiety. Believe it or not, I'm a very, very shy person. But when I'm out there, I always think this is something that I have to do. Mwaka the introvert is not here. It's time for Mwaka the extrovert to be here. So sometimes I do like to call myself an ambivert. I'm an extroverted introvert. So when the situation calls for it, I will come out of my shell and just sort of block out the fact that, yeah, I would rather be home right now. Because if I keep thinking about that, then it's going to control how I behave in public. And I really don't want to come off as, that kind of person. So for me, it's really just the mental preparation, which is why most times I don't like to take things, invites last minute. If I'm told, hey, we need you tomorrow for ABCD, normally I won't take it because then I won't have enough preparation time, and then I'll end up just looking very boring and uninterested. So yeah, it's really just the mental preparation for me.
So you mentioned schedules. What does a typical week in your life look like?
Typical. That is a word that is not in my vocabulary because I don't have a typical week. A lot of my days or weeks are pretty much unpredictable. There's really no routine, which is why I like to keep my mornings and evenings the same so that it feels like it's the same. But if I'm on set, I wake up early, do my workouts, my meditation, prayers, have my breakfast, get on set, and usually when I'm on set, it gets hectic. There are some days when it's really really hectic, and I won't even have time to touch my phone. Whereas other days it can be pretty light, and have our light moments on set. Have fun. Sometimes I'll even have the opportunity to just run away from set for a bit, do some errands, and get back on set. Although I don't really like to do that because then it disturbs the flow of, my performance. And then other times I will have a free day when I'm lucky and just be home, relaxing, catching up on chores. I do like to organize my home a lot because I don't like things to be out of place. Other times as well, I do things outside of set, when I have shoots elsewhere, whether it's for an advert, whether it's for an interview. Yeah, so really, like I said, it's pretty unpredictable and difficult to catch me. And once in a while, when I can, I will travel and hang out with my friends. So again, there's no typical week for me. It's all different.
What's your dream TV or movie role?
Dream movie role. I would like to play a powerful lawyer, like someone who just takes no nonsense. Something that would, I suppose, let people see me in a different light, as opposed to being this sweet, naive little girl, but something a bit more powerful, a career woman and whatnot. That's one. But the other one is I've always wanted to play a superhero. I just feel like because of some of my other hobbies, like I did take self-defense classes. So I would like to apply that into film. And I think I can do that in a superhero role where I just beat people and I save the day, and I'm superhero, powerful, muscular, and so on and so forth. Yeah, those two roles.
You're well known as the lead actress on Zuba, but can you tell us some of the other projects you're involved in at the moment?
At the moment, well, I will not lie and say, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But I am currently working with the MTN Foundation and WWF for climate change. Yeah, so we're trying to spread awareness on the importance of how our lifestyles affect, climate change and how we can change that in order to just make things better. I also, yeah, well, that's, I think, what I'm doing currently at the moment. Otherwise, I do have a YouTube channel as well, even though that's on hold because my schedule is just like super, super hectic. And I'm also getting into writing. I recently did a film project called Red Lipstick. So I wrote, I basically came up with the story, but someone else wrote the script and also directed it, produced as well. So that's something I'm also trying to get into away from being on screen. I want to do more background work, more writing, more directing. And that's really what I've been working on at the moment. Yeah.
When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Last time I did something for the first time was in April, I would say. And that was bungee jumping. First and last time, because that was completely insane for me. And yeah, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, even though I do have like fear of heights and whatnot. So once in a while, I'll do such crazy things just to say I did it. So yeah, I think that's the last time I did something for the first time. Just a break in my routine.
What compliment and what criticism do you receive the most?
It's a bit ironic because the same compliment I receive the most is the same criticism I receive the most. Some people say, "Oh yeah, you're a really good actress," or "You're the best actress," and other people say, "You're not a good actress," or "You should quit acting." So yeah, it's a little bit of both. So sometimes I'm like, "Okay, great, thanks, your opinion, but I'll stick to what I know."
You recently asked your online followers who they would swap lives with and why. What's your answer to the same question?
My answer is none, no one. First of all, as much as other people's lives may look admirable, especially with what they do, you don't really know their struggles. And personally, I'm not sure if I can handle those struggles or their successes. So I would rather just stick to my own life. And it was a bit of a trick question. I wanted to see just how many people are satisfied with their lives out there. But yeah, I would not swap with anyone. Yeah. But if I had to pick gun to my head, I would say Meryl Streep, amazing actress, and she also does a lot of amazing things, obviously off screen, you know, a lot of humanitarian work. So for me, I would like to give that a go. Yeah.
Do you have any tricks for memorizing your lines?
Well, repetition helps. Repetition helps a lot. But I am blessed to have a very good memory. I do have photographic memory. So for me, usually, even when I don't really have time to go through something, say I'm given something to memorize at gunpoint, all I'll have to do is just look at it, look at the arrangement of words and the order in which they appear, and then it sticks. But repetition really helps, especially saying the words out loud. So I always like to tell people whenever they ask, like, just make sure you say it out loud, repeat it in different ways. It usually helps the lines stick.
What are the best and worst things about life on set?
Best things about life on set is it's never the same. I'm one person who gets bored quite easily. So if I had to get into a routine every day you get on set, you know that you have to do this at this point and this at that point, I would get very bored. So I like the fact that it's different all the time, and sometimes you never really know what to expect. Worst thing is the hours. I'm not a morning person, so if you ask me to get up at like 5 or 6, that is the worst thing you can ever do to me. But yeah, it's the hours, early mornings, late nights, and sometimes I don't even have a chance to have a social life. So for me, that's been one of the worst things. Am I used to it? No. But it is what it is. I still love my job.
Do you have any crazy or funny on-set stories?
Crazy stories. Well, okay, so this was in season 1. The old opening title sequence where I'm running around and I'm excited to show my results. And every now and then you see it on clips on social media. When we were shooting that, I actually had an injured foot. My left ankle was acting up. I don't know what happened. It's one of those things where I just woke up the next day and it felt like I had injured my ankle. So I don't know if that happened the previous day and I didn't notice, but we had to shoot that sequence. And this was in a place that is called Lesotho Village. It's in Southern Province. So, it's very rocky, very dry. There were thorns everywhere, and we did about 60 or more takes. So imagine I'm doing that with a painful foot, and they were nice. They said, you know what, we cannot postpone, but if you need to rest, just let us know. But I was just stubborn and say, you know what, I'd rather just shoot and then get it out of the way and deal with whatever I have to deal with after. But after, the pain that was waiting for me was ridiculous. Luckily, we had someone on set to take care of me, a medic. So yeah, it was helpful. But for me, I always consider that one of my craziest moments because, yeah, shooting with a painful foot, not the best decision.
When we interviewed you for a Nkwazi magazine article a couple of years ago, you said you use 5-year plans to measure progress in your life. Is this something you still do today?
Yes, it's still something I do. I believe it's important to just help track the progress in life, and also just to measure if you've been able to achieve what you say you want to achieve. And sometimes I found that I've been able to achieve some things earlier than I planned. Other times I've found that I haven't achieved anything at all, and I will feel some type of way about it. But it does help me in a lot of ways, especially, because I will mention that I have very, very bad anxiety. So most times I'm always thinking, oh my gosh, what if I don't do what I need to do? What if in the next 5 years I find that I've done nothing with my life? That plan actually helps me track my progress and even reduce some of those anxieties. And I also do like to do sort of like a daily measurement. So at the end of the day, I'll reflect and say, okay, what have I done with my day? Is it in line with what I've been wanting to achieve for the month, for the week, for the year, and so on and so forth? So it's definitely something I still do, and I will continue to do.
What's the craziest rumor you've heard about yourself?
Craziest. This again was season 2. There was actually an online article, and the rumor, because I had gained a bit of weight at the time, that's the time that I was playing 2 roles. I was playing Zuba and Zara. And Zara was supposed to be very curvy, very voluptuous. So I decided to gain a bit of weight for that role in particular. Unfortunately, that also affected Zuba. So most of her dresses were like very, very tight on her. And the craziest thing about that was some gossip site released an article saying that I was pregnant, and because of that, what happened? Like, I had differed with the producers, and they were going to cut me off of the show, and so on and so forth, and it was a big thing. And even some of the comments, I don't know why I read the comments, but I did. And some of them were encouraging. They were like, hey, just include it in the story. Other people were like, yeah, it serves you right, blah, blah, blah. So for me, that was really, really crazy. I was just like, what? That is ridiculous. And we even laughed about it with the producer. And he was like, oh, okay, I didn't know this was the case. I was like, yeah, I didn't know either. And I remember telling my manager, like, I want to sue the hell out of these people. Like, I'm so upset right now. And he just laughed and said, yeah, this is probably going to get worse, so just get used to it. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, for me, that was really, really crazy. It devastated me for a while, actually.
How has the Zambian TV and film industry evolved over the last 5 years?
Wow. It's evolved ridiculously, actually. What we are seeing now is more variety. What we are seeing now is a lot more people becoming encouraged or brave enough to tell stories in a different way. A lot of people now are not afraid to cross those boundaries in order to tell stories. And I like that a lot of storytellers in the film industry are now embracing our local tradition now. So, telling stories that involve us traditionally, but at the same time, just trying to push boundaries. So it's definitely evolved in that way, in that we're seeing more variety. We're seeing a lot more film productions coming up, a lot more production companies coming up, and with different ages as well. We have young people coming up in the industry, we have older people coming up in the industry, and it's very, very encouraging to know that probably another 5 years from now it's going to develop even more.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received is don't let success get to your head, and don't let failure get to your heart. Typically, I would be the kind of person long ago who, if something doesn't work out the way I hope it would really get me down for the longest time. And I've never really let success get to my head, but with failure, it would always get me. And that was actually one of my biggest fears, is failure. And because of that, I ended up procrastinating a lot, not taking risks, basically. But after that, it really, really helped me in terms of taking more risks. And if something doesn't work out, you either learn something from it, or you just say, you know what, maybe it wasn't meant for me. Let me try something else, and let me try something different. I think for me, that's been the best advice I've received, because it's helped me a lot in many different situations, my personal life, my career, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
What's the worst advice you've received?
Worst advice. I honestly can't think of anything right now, because I tend to brush it off most times. However, I will say, I think there's a time I had an opportunity to get into a big role, I think, a movie role. And I was told not to take it because the money was not enough. And then the movie ended up becoming something quite successful. So for me, I would say that's that one really stung. Because you never know where it would have taken me. But again, I didn't really let it get to me, because I learned something from it. And at the end of the day, what that taught me is sometimes it's not really about the money. Sometimes you never know where something is going to take you. So just go for it, take the risk. If it's something that ends up not working out, well and good. If it's something that ends up working out, you don't lose out in the end. So yeah,